More riveting testimony today in the involuntary manslaughter trial of Dr. Conrad Murray.
Yeah, KTLA's Brandi Hitt was in the courtroom this morning when prosecutors played a recording from Dr. Murray's iPhone of Michael Jackson severely drugged and slurring his words.
Today, Conrad Murray's iPhone was on display for the jury to see, and it shows he not only was making phone calls, but was also receiving and sending emails the day Michael Jackson died. Also on that cell phone, a very disturbing recording of Michael Jackson that a forensic expert says was taken in May of 2009. It is Jackson incoherent and mumbling. In fact, it's the same recording that was shown during opening statements, only this time the jury got to hear the whole thing. Take a listen.
I love them because I didn't have a childhood. I had no childhood. I feel their pain. I feel their hurt. I can deal with it. Heal the world. We are the world. Will you be there? The lost children. These are the songs I've written because it hurt, you know? It hurt.
One female juror had her hand over her mouth today as she listened to that recording. And then you had Randy and Jermaine Jackson sitting right in front of me, and they were whispering to each other in court while this just awful tape of Michael Jackson was played. That isn't the only conversation the Jacksons had today. What you did not see in court at the beginning of the day was lead prosecutor David Walgren. When he came in, he immediately went over and spoke to the Jackson family. He kneeled down over the railing while Jermaine Jackson, Brandi Jackson, and also Randy Jackson leaned forward, and they had about maybe a 30-second to a minute-long conversation. What they said to each other, we don't know. I'm heading back into the courtroom for the afternoon session, and we'll have a complete wrap-up for you coming up tonight on the KTLA News at 6 o'clock. In downtown, Brandi Hitt, KTLA 5 News.
Jurors at the Conrad Murray trial heard a recording from the doctor's cell phone. The voice on that recording, Michael Jackson, sounding drugged and largely incoherent. The prosecution contends it helps prove that Murray knew Jackson was already dependent on drugs. Brandi Hitt is in downtown Los Angeles where the trial continues.
Emotions really ran high in the courtroom today. People in the public seating were crying behind me, along with members of the Jackson family, as we heard audio recordings of Michael Jackson's voice and also heard more about his death. That is the display of drugs investigators found inside Michael Jackson's bedroom the day he died.
Did you locate on the floor a 20-milliliter bottle of propofol?
Yes, I did.
An LA County coroner's investigator says she found an empty propofol bottle under Jackson's nightstand, surrounded by a buffet of close to a dozen other prescription drugs. More propofol was also found stored in Jackson's closet, along with a saline bag.
It had a cut in it, and there was a 100-milliliter vial of propofol inside.
Jurors also got a look inside Dr. Murray's cell phone, where he had recorded Jackson 1 month before he died.
It is amazing. He is the greatest entertainer in the world.
In slurred words, that is what Michael Jackson was hoping his fans would say after seeing his 2009 This Is It tour. But that tour, he said, would help his children never began.
I love them. I love them because I didn't have a childhood. I had no childhood. I feel their pain. I feel their hurt.
Some in the public courtroom seats cried. A female juror put her hand over her mouth. The prosecution insists Dr. Murray gave the singer a deadly dose of propofol and did not monitor him. His phone showed he was sending and receiving emails in the hours leading up to Jackson's death. And it also showed concert insurers and even Jackson's manager were worried about the singer's health.
I think you need to get a blood test on him today. We got to see what he's doing.
The prosecution contends Murray knew the risks of what he was doing all along. That audio was very difficult for the Jackson family to listen to at times. The lead prosecutor, David Walgren, also met one-on-one with them in the courtroom today for about 30 seconds before the jury was let in. In downtown Los Angeles, Brandi Hitt, KTLA 5 News.
Stay with